And we're live.
And we're live. Hey, everybody.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. So, happy Super Bowl weekend. I just said to Lenny, we're starting with the Super Bowl because I'm excited for the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know. I like, this is one game that I just can't wait for. I think it's always fun, but I can't wait. Are you a Super Bowl person? I know you're at dance this weekend, but
Right.
are
I'm at
you?
a dance convention. No, no.
There won't
What
be
Super
Super
Bowl? What? No, I'm not. Unless the Falcons were playing when I lived in Atlanta, we would get the two times. And anyway, that's all the story. But no, not particularly. But it's a big deal. Great time for us for ads, right? We see.
Great time for ads. So, so a couple things that we want to share with you. First of all, really cool insights shared by Civic Science about consumer behaviors about the Super Bowl. So I love, and I think I've shared this before with people, like I love seeing myself in data. Like I love when there's kind of, consumer behavior related studies that I can see myself in. So here are some cool stats they shared, and Carly will upload the article in a minute. They're there's an article, unexpected consumer insights about Super Bowl viewers, right? So of course I identify as one. 41% of adults 55 plus plan to watch the Super Bowl, whereas Gen Z is the least likely to watch. That just made me laugh because I'm like, what's up, Gen Z? What? That just cracked me up because what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
And well, 44% expect the Chiefs to win. Is that the Taylor Swift effect?
I think they actually mentioned that in this article is how many people are like focused on Taylor Swift there. So yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs, let's just face it, they got a big lift this year. I know I'm a Chiefs fan all of a sudden for this game, not in general, but I'm like, yeah, let's root for the Chiefs because seems like the thing to do. But yeah, like that's the prediction. I don't know what's going to happen. But look, also a quarter of Super Bowl viewers are placing bets. So I just think sports betting is really interesting. I know my Gen Z boys who are in their early 20s, they have those quick online sports betting accounts, and it's a big deal to them. Now it might only be like at their age and income, which is for one of them non-existent, but bucks, like they're not that's what you're doing with our grocery money, that's fine. But there is sports betting, and I think that's really interesting. I don't know. What do you think? Sports betting, it's a thing.
It is. It's interesting. Well, and there's that from a research standpoint, I've
Yes.
never had the opportunity to actively participate in any of kind of the gambling, lottery, betting research, but I've known people who have,
Yeah.
and it really is fascinating. They
Yeah.
they do extensive testing on usability and I mean the lotteries they test
I
all
know.
their
And
concepts and it's really interesting.
I have met at certain industry events lottery insights professionals. So each
Hmm.
state's organization, a lottery organization, has at least a insights professional. They do a lot of consumer research to understand their audience of lottery. What do you call a lottery participant? I don't know. What do they have a name for it? Lottery doer?
It's a customer. I,
Awesome. Yeah. So
yeah.
anyway, interesting stuff. So anyway, just super fun to find yourself in the statistics there. So cool study. Then the other thing I just wanted to share with everybody because I love the ads, right? Doesn't everybody in insights and marketing love the ads, Super Bowl
Yes.
ads? And there is an ad tracker that is showing you kind of all the ads, what's already launched, what's already up on YouTube, what to expect, who spent what amount of money. And it's a super cool ad tracker. So you can kind of see how brands are leveraging,
Hmm.
their very large spends this year. And I mean, some of them at the Sphere. I don't know if you're also tracking the Sphere, Lenny, in Vegas. Like if you're seeing, like Pepsi's takeover of the Sphere and
Yep.
Verizon's takeover of the Sphere. I mean, what a cool concept in advertising.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I would be more interested in going to see you too.
I am going to see you.
But
I've seen so many clips, and I'm like, I just can't believe I haven't gotten there. And I don't, I'm get to Vegas, but boy, I'd
I
love.
haven't either. What I have, so I have not followed the Super Bowl stuff. This has been a crazy week with personal stuff, as we know, and blah blah. Dance convention, but dance convention. But the I will be really curious to look at after the fact to see what brands have ads
Yeah.
because the era of it being CPG was about 2 years ago that it shifted really heavily into tech and
Yeah.
and and cryptocurrencies
Yeah.
had a big presence.
Yeah.
So watching that mix is pretty indicative of major trends that are happening
Yeah.
in society and culture overall. And of course, there's always good movie. I think we'll finally get the Deadpool 3 trailer. So I'm looking forward to that. But
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, fun times.
Cool. Fun times, fun times. So, so speaking of ads, one of the startups I wanted to talk to you guys about, and you in particular, Lenny, this Validated is a Seattle startup using generative AI for ads for product insights. They've raised, 1.2 million, and their startup is, it's cool because they kind of share in this article that we'll share. They're simulating that a client's product exists via 100 of other ads. And so it's a little different than typical ad testing, right? It's like more, it's just hypothetical. Like it's sort of, I'm imagining it's sort of like A/B testing, but it's all these hypotheticals. So anyway, cool new platform. Did you get a chance to take a look at it?
Just the press release to get a chance to investigate it, but I do think it is really interesting with this. There's definitely been a shift towards wanting to understand, holistically.
Yeah.
Influencers, social media analytics, et cetera. Those are all components of that, rather than just the traditional A/B testing.
Yeah.
And this simulation model of understanding where the ad could be placed across multiple channels and across multiple audiences.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Will it replace ad testing? I mean, not anytime soon, but could it really help with early stage planning and then validation and eventually kind of look at that marketing mix model all the way through? Yeah, I could see it being an incredibly useful tool for creatives and agencies, determining where their ad spend goes, and being a real augmentation to the traditional market research industry.
Yeah.
So if I had to make a bet, I would expect them to get bought by somebody who does an awful lot of traditional ad testing at some point.
Yeah. Good prediction there. So
Yeah.
we'll keep an eye on it, but pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
So,
All right, you got this next one, because I saw it again. I'm on the road, so I didn't get a chance to, when this popped, I didn't get a chance to really see it, but it sounds like there's quite the conversation here.
Yeah. So, one of the things that Lenny and I do is also we're paying attention to the conversations happening on social media, LinkedIn in particular. And, Lucy Davison shared a great post that I'm like, oh, this is going to be a conversation starter, because she was annoyed. So basically what happened was there's, a study came out, there's a decline in customer satisfaction in the UK. Spoiler alert, we go on to read in the comments, this probably isn't just a UK thing, right? This is probably a phenomenon here in the US. Also, it's just, this study happens to be UK based, but there's a disconnect between businesses and consumers that Lucy pointed out. And one of the quotes from this chief executive, Joe Cawson, the chief executive from the Institute of Customer Service, he says, "These latest figures are a clear signal to business leaders and board members that customer service is not an optional extra, but a strategic imperative." Fast forward, it says it highlights the gap between businesses getting it right and those getting it wrong. That gap is widening. And, this to me, like, I feel like, wait a minute, didn't we shift from like customer satisfaction to the customer experience, where customer satisfaction is supposed to be at the heart of things? And what are we doing wrong? And Lucy's post, which again kicked off the conversation, and Finn has chimed in on it, and Ray has chimed in on it. Paul Hudson's chimed in. A lot of kind of industry thought leaders are chiming in on the conversation about what's happening and why is there this gap. And what is the insights professional's role? So it's interesting, because is it because insights professionals are not doing a good job of communicating or telling the story about dissatisfaction, or are they asking the wrong questions, or are their business leaders not giving them the right kind of research objectives to get at that? Like, really unpacking this is a huge can of worms, and the conversation's pretty cool to pay attention to.
I want to weigh in.
Yeah.
Because I do have an opinion on this, even though I have not seen what's happening on LinkedIn. So somebody
Yeah,
else
you
may
get
have
the
already
gist
brought
of
this
it.
up.
Yeah.
But when CX kind of became a thing,
Yep.
separate from insights, I mean, I think my first job in research was doing customer satisfaction research. Right?
Well, yeah, actually, myself as well. Well, not
Yes.
first, but it was in there. I just actually can't. Anyway, it's not important right now. I just actually have a hard copy of a customer sat survey that I.
Right, right. And you worked with the Insights organization.
Yeah,
That customer satisfaction, what we now call CX, was part of Insights. And it was beginning to shift to become more of an operational
yeah,
component.
yeah,
Right. And so when I think about, I think what we think of as CX today, this category, and it is a distinct and separate category
yeah,
adjacent to market research. And the folks that are generally who own that, their roles and titles and priorities are different than insights. So to your point, and what I suspect is what we're hearing on the LinkedIn, and correct me if I'm wrong from everyone's comments, is that they are disconnected. And that is the problem. It is not integrated holistically into the organization. So the
yeah,
insights team, who would be the right folks to go to find out what are people really looking for, how do we optimize the experience, how do we engage, how do we defeat churn, et cetera, et cetera. Instead, it's kind of over here as just a metric of how well the CR the your agents and customer service team are interacting. It's a KPI, like the
yeah,
NPS score. I'm sorry, my opinion is I think NPS score is one of the worst things ever done because
yeah,
it just became a number without context or
yeah,
relevance. You
yeah,
know, that you just score people on. Oh, NPS is it's 4.5. Whoa, we're
yeah,
all good. You
yeah,
know, uh, rather than something that is really contextual and drives things and in a changing life cycle of customers and behaviors. I mean, like or solve the Super Bowl, right? Gen Z is not interested. We know what Gen Z are customers, and
right,
their priorities and what they're looking for can be different.
right.
And us, right? I'm sure. Here's one of my pet peeves, and I worked in IVR for a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah,
I
yeah,
hate IVR systems. I'm the first one to say agent, agent, agent.
yeah.
I hate
Operator.
yes, like no, I just give me a
Yeah,
human. I don't want to go through this process.
yeah. And
The
that came up in the thread also. Chatbots came up in the thread. Like, let's make sure that if we're using advanced technology to interact with customers, we are not doing it at the cost of customer satisfaction,
right,
and saying just because we can doesn't mean we should, or make sure people have the option to get to the agent or the operator. Like,
right,
there's
right.
nothing more frustrating than that's what we want. It's not working here and not
Yes.
having options or, yeah. Well,
Absolutely. I won't call out the company, but yesterday we had a dead battery and we had to
mm,
engage roadside assistance. And I called the roadside assistance number only for them to text me a link
yeah,
to
yeah,
go through the process online.
yeah, yeah,
And it was efficient. It worked out. It was okay.
yeah,
But at that moment where I was stressed out, and because we're supposed to be, we're traveling and blah, 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 right? I was stressed. I
yeah,
wanted to talk to a human and I wanted to make sure that my issues are going to be dealt with by a human. And I
yeah,
had no option to do that.
yeah,
And, the result was okay. The process, if I had
yeah,
been asked at that moment how satisfied I was with it, I would have given him a zero
yeah, yeah.
because I wanted a human to help
Right,
me with this.
right. Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
there's a lot
It's
complicated in
so
all this.
complicated, and I know that, when I think I shared when I was at the Qualtrics event last year, and
Mhm.
I was talking to all these CX professionals saying, "Help me understand your relationship with insights in your company." And some of them were like, "Well, they report into us, they feed into us, or we sit near them." And then
Mhm.
others were like, "Oh yeah, they do their thing, we do ours." And
Mhm.
it's like this is a very interesting equation. And talking to somebody that said to me, like, in the world of CX, like, insights is like nothing, because so much about the customer experience is outside of what the insights teams are working on. And
Yeah.
it's just really interesting for people in our space to understand the context of that and figure out how we can work with these teams to make the experience better. For heaven's sake, insights will have the answers to the data that perhaps the CX teams
Right.
are collecting.
Yeah,
Complicated.
it is, but and it's an operational metric. Now, here we haven't said it yet. Let's say it, right? AI.
Oh, AI.
The
I know.
I
I
mean,
know.
the
AI.
theory behind all of this was big data, all of that is we would have see all these data inputs that would give us a holistic view of the customer and it would unlock all this value and synergy and it would just be fantastic,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
we would give everybody what they're looking for before they even have to ask.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do that because it was too much of a pain in the ass from a technology standpoint. sorry, I'm probably being a little more excitable than I normally am. Tomorrow's my birthday too, by the way, and it's weird energy, and I'm just like in a weird space today. So forgive me if I'm a little more
You're doing
animated than
great.
normal.
Because I needed
Thank
to
the I'm
I know, I'm right there with you.
but I think there is a world where
Yeah.
we recognize that these things should not exist in silos. They should be connected, and we are unlocking technology which theoretically will allow this to have a more holistic 360-degree view. And I
Yeah.
think businesses will get that, and then it makes sense.
Yeah.
And things like this will help, because here's the bottom line: you start losing customers, you start losing money. You got to figure out why the hell are we losing money, and you start investing and fixing it, and hopefully we'll get to a better place than where we are that kind of created the issue.
Yeah. Well, it's funny also, and you say this whole concept kind of riles you up a little bit. And that was the spirit of Lucy's post, right? Is she's like, I'm
Yeah.
really mad. Like, she's like, I'm really irritated about this. And I was thinking, no, I think, my comment was like, this is an example of righteous anger. I think everybody in the insight space has a right to be angry about this, because for heaven's sakes, we're like the first line of defense against customer sat issues. And are people listening to us when we report in the pain points that we hear about all the time, or we see in our data all the time? Like, are we being listened to? I think that's one part of the equation. Are we communicating it well? That's another part of the equation. And then, of course, yes, are we asking the right questions? It's just so complicated, in the frustrations about what it means to be an insights professional in this quandary of customer satisfaction decline. Like, we just want to shake people, right? We just want to grab them by the shoulders and say, we have some answers.
we do. Let me beat that horse a little bit more, because this is actually a quote that I read every once in a while, that the CEO of Nielsen EMEA, a long story, but met him. We were chatting for a variety of reasons, and he said, research sells success. And yes, we are tasked with identifying new product opportunities, helping to develop that product, bringing that product to market. I mean, assisting that process, driving the information that does that.
Yeah.
So research sits. We are instrumental in revenue production.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are instrumental in operational efficiency, employees, et cetera, and we're instrumental in understanding what customers want and keeping them. So it does no good when the folks that are really instrumental in helping to develop products and advertising and marketing and all of those things from an executional standpoint to drive top line revenue, but we are disengaged from the process of understanding and keeping customers.
Right.
Because it's a hell of a lot easier to keep a customer than it is to get a customer.
Right.
So I'm right there with you, Lucy. And I'm sure, knowing Finn and Ray, I'm sure you're Finn Rabin. Shout outs. You're probably echoing similar things, and I hope that we start thinking about this world more holistically than in the silos that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right, now we want to move on to the cool stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about the cool stuff. So, we've already talked about Apple's Vision Pro, meaning Lenny and I. But we've had a couple of new details to share with you, and then, kind of some experience. And we'd love to know if anybody has tried them. So please, if you've tried them and you're listening, please let us know, because it's cool, right? First of all, now there's this, official chat GPT, app integrated into that. So we now have Vision Pro and immersive kind of generative AI in there. Like, that's pretty cool. So, anyway, that's one little thing. There's also this, there's this, we'll get to the Black Mirror comment, which is, I know, let's do the Black Mirror thing. But there's this idea that this spatial computing, which is, really cool. Jason, who is, works with us on SEO consulting, he tried them and he said the eye tracking is phenomenal. And to quote him, he said, eye tracking tech as we know it is gone. Like, this is the eye tracking for, right there, looking at things and figuring out shelf sets. Like, this is it. This is a game changer for everyone who has eye tracking tools. Get to the Apple Store and try these, because it will it's going to be a big disruptor. He said that is worth all of us in this industry getting to the Apple Store and trying the demos. Not to mention some of the super cool, fact that you can be looking at a computer screen and swiping, just like we've seen on TV and movies for a long time. Like that is all here in these. The applications are outstanding when it comes to business, and every professional should go and check these out because it is a big tech leap. So cool stuff. I want to try them. I'm probably going to go ASAP.
Yeah, I want to try it as well. I've not. I remember I was an early adopter of Google Glass, so I'm feeling a little burned on from that. But
I think it's one of these articles. I don't know if it's this one or the next one, which we'll talk about in a second. But did talk about the Google Glass adopters who were called. Do you remember they were called glass holes? I know I was married to one. It's all
yeah. Shout out to Tom Anderson. Tim, we were the research glass holes.
You were. Yes. So know that there is that, and then there's this whole, which this next article brings up, this whole like there are these social media kind of influencers wearing them. So obviously they're affording the $3,500 price point or whatever, but they're wearing them in certain simulations and showing it all gone wrong. Like they're exaggerating, let's have a group of people eating dinner together. And we all have our, Vision Pro glasses on and, or headsets on, and there's people driving with them. Like they're being sensationalist with what they're sharing right now to prove a point that we might be heading into this other dystopian society. So what did you think when you read that?
I mean, it's always been, so if we look at this as just an evolution of the whole VR thing, right? Yeah. I separate the utility of the tool, unmistakable, right? Yeah. Of course, what Jason said about eye tracking, all of those things, absolutely. Difference between consumer adoption as well. The price points are challenging. Yeah. And then, yes, what does it do to society, right? Yeah. So as a parent, even though I could recognize the value my kids could have from an immersive experience for education as a homeschool parent, right? Yeah. But I would be really reluctant because we don't know the long-term effects on brain plasticity, et cetera, et cetera. The socialization. As much as I'm a huge fan of the book Ready Player One and an okay fan of the movie, that future, which is the VR world, right, was also utterly terrifying in many ways. Yeah. So, so it's good that the sensationalist stuff is happening because it does at least trigger the conversation. I think the other concerns around privacy that have come up, we saw it with glass, right? Yeah. That those are legitimate concerns when it's spatial computing and there's no way to stop it from analyzing a face. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's what it's doing. It's what it's designed to do. Yeah. Those are great big honking issues that we have to work through as a society, as a culture, as a species, as well as within our industry, think about what's the most appropriate use case. Price point will be a barrier of adoption, just like it's continued to be for VR. Yeah. So until it's ubiquitous, it's only going to be a niche application. Yeah. I'm not going to count out Apple on making it ubiquitous, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, it might be though that it, for mainstream consumer use, it's priced well out of what's sustainable. But for business use, I bet there are businesses that are like, we can afford the $3,500 if it allows somebody to have that, face tracking. I mean, eye tracking capabilities. That's kind of cool. So I want to get to try it out. But I think that the two things hand in hand, the utility, to your point, the utility of them is probably going to be what innovators in research technology have to focus on when they go check these out. I don't think, and like the second article, this Apple Vision Pro turning real world into a Black Mirror episode. Like there's some really, interesting things. Like I think one of the clips in there was somebody driving and, driving with them on in his, whatever is happening there.
It was in a Tesla, wasn't it? So it was self-driving Tesla while he's wearing the thing. It was the total.
like totally, but then there's like police lights in the background. It's like, yeah, please, thank you. Because I do not want to walk around seeing people with virtual reality headsets on while they're driving. Like that's just terrifying. Or, sitting in a restaurant with somebody and you're both having it's bad enough that people are all on their phones, but now we're going to have headsets on too. So I think all of those with a grain of salt, our society's not ready for that. But is our society ready for next level computing? I don't know. It's pretty cool. So
we knew this coming. Wearables, we're always going to get here. We're always going to get here. AR, VR, blah, blah, blah. It's just and with 5G, that was one of the other great, just for everybody, if you're not thinking about this, the big barrier to adoption of any of these technologies really was ubiquity of fast Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That was a huge one. That's fairly resolved now, although not for people who live out in the sticks like I do. But most people in most areas have access to high-speed internet, high-speed Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That helps propel forward these systems. Then as price points come down, so like they have gaming systems, even phones, right? This is a future. We will see this grow and pretty rapidly. Yeah. So remember, the iPhone was just introduced in 2007, 2008.
Yeah, something like maybe.
Right. Yeah. So and everything goes faster than that did. So so it's coming.
Yeah.
Now, I know we got two more things we wanted to touch on. Although these are more just, I think, kind of shout outs.
Yeah. I think you want to take the first one.
Yeah. It was just a really neat article. Market research is transforming from a traditional approach into an advanced technology, data-driven science was the article, and it wasn't revelatory, but it certainly was confirmatory. Right. Yeah. The perspective on how technology really is transforming the industry, and to the point we just had, eye tracking, Internet of Things, wearables, AI, microdata, all of these technologies that exist now are just becoming more and more ubiquitous. They offer value within the insight space. Insight is incorporating them, and we need to recognize that. The era of only asking questions, whether qualitatively or quantitatively, we have a lot more tools in the toolbox, and technology is just going to keep amplifying that. So I thought that it was a great confirmation of, especially for suppliers, but also for buyers, that there's a lot more we can do now than just surveys.
It's funny because a speaker was one time talking to me about, what differentiates an IAX event from other events in the industry. And they're like, I heard your events are really focused on tech. And I was like, well, tech as it applies to the future of insights, which by the way, is tech leading on some level. Like, you can't be looking to the future of insights without having the pulse on technology innovation. Like those two things are, almost synonymous. Like, yes, research technology is where we are headed because we are headed to a world with AI, with, mainstream eye tracking, perhaps with an Internet of Things and connectivity and generative AI, at our fingertips, maybe even on our persons. So yeah, we skew to tech because guess what? The future of insights, it just makes me take pause about we are moving to a data-driven by tech industry.
Right. And then our last point, we have the opposite. We have the other end of that spectrum.
So, really cool. An industry report, Entropic shared on, insights when it comes to AI. And, I read through that. We'll share the whole report if you want to look through it, but I read through it to kind of see what stood out at me, if there was anything earth shattering. And this is quote, surprisingly, only 20% of industry leaders have adopted Insight's AI-based tools in their businesses, revealing a potential growth area for our technology. And I was like, surprisingly, like Letty and I have been talking for weeks now about what is going on. Why are industry leaders not leaning in. It's just going to become a mystery to me. I just don't understand it right now. So,
well, there's always early adopters, and we are by nature a conservative industry, but um, the but I think these messages, if we just expose these 2 points, right?
yeah,
Of look, pay attention. These technology, Moore's law curve is
yeah,
far steeper than it used to be.
yeah,
Things are just moving faster. These technologies unlock more innovation and development faster and faster, especially AI, because it can be used for so many different development tasks. Right?
yeah,
It's the scale of
right.
what it unlocks is just amazing from that standpoint. And we can't afford to assume that it's going to take 5 or 10 years for something to become mainstream, because it's not. I
Right.
mean,
It's not
you know, it is happening faster,
faster.
and
Yeah.
we need to start now
Right.
and find the fit for purpose, or else we risk missing the boat,
Yeah.
like we did with CX. We let it get away from us, guys. We let
Right.
it get away from us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Social media
interesting. You think
analytics. We let
about,
it get away from us.
yeah, even the idea of an early adopter, we don't have years for those early adopters to be paving the way. Like that is not what's
Right.
going on here. Like the time that an early adopter can be doing their thing before everybody else starts to follow suit, that is a much shorter timeline when it comes to this technology. So,
Right. Right. Even
right.
last year when ChatGPT came out, it was literally days or a few weeks before we saw the first companies
Yeah,
popping out,
exactly.
right? And
They will be
now it's
right. People who are getting on board now, you're not early, but glad you're here. Like, like let's go.
yes, and there's a role for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Not disparaging people taking the time to figure it out and get it right.
yeah,
Absolutely. But they're invested. I think
yeah,
the message here is for those that we talked about last week, who are, yeah, just not really paying attention. That's the thing of, you got to pay attention. Not saying
yeah,
jump into both feet,
yeah,
but pay attention.
yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
have something going on to explore how these tools work for you
Yeah,
and for your business and for your clients,
yeah,
even if you're not, you know, whole hog, yay, AI, everything.
right,
Not saying that, right?
right,
But don't wait till you're hit by the truck.
right. And let's give people venues to explore. So, Carly, here's your segue.
Yes, here we go. Yes,
Ladies and gentlemen,
yes.
at our upcoming events, we will, of course, be featuring sessions that have this topic of kind of AI and tech forward innovation and other innovations as well, in addition to just product innovation. So next up is IIEX APAC. That's March 5th and 6th. Please go ahead and register. Carly's sharing the links. I will be attending, so I will see you there if you can join us. It's going to be a great show, so I'm really excited about that. I know after that we're going to have IIEX North America, so be looking for that. We'll have IIEX Europe, so be looking for that. And I think also this year we're going to have our IIEX LATAM event, which will be happening in Miami in September. So I
Yep,
think, is this the first time LATAM is going to be on kind of the
it
main
is.
US soil,
It
right?
is.
So
LATAM has always been in South America. Yes.
yeah, and I think what's cool about this, and just so you all know, the reason for this decision is because it is often easier for some of those insights teams at different countries to be able to get to Miami, which is sort of like a hub for that space, rather than to one another's countries. So, instead of traveling from, Chile to Brazil, it is potentially easier for everyone to get to Miami. So
Yep.
that's our LATAM event. So coming soon as well. It's going to be a fun year. We have a wild, 6+ months in the world of Green Book. So
You
right.
do. Everybody pray for Karen, because Karen really is tasked with making all this happen. Karen, and Kara.
Karen, man, she's like a rock star, right? And Jasmine leading up our marketing. I
Yes.
mean, really, like it's a great team here, and everybody is doing the best they can. And
Yes, they are.
it's pretty cool. So
Amazing team. Big shout out for everybody for doing that. And people think, oh, Lenny, you're behind IX. Not anymore, guys. I show up occasionally,
okay.
not even all to most of them. It's all the folks we just rattled off. They perform the magic. They make everything happen, and they deserve all the credit. So, all right, I guess that's it. Well, last thing we didn't say: like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Notification. Yes, please, please continue to join us. We love that you're here, and we'll see you next week. Can we say go Chiefs? Are we allowed to show that kind of a bias? Like,
you say go Chiefs, I'll say go 49ers. And
all right, we'll cover all of our bases there.
Yes, go 49ers. So
it's easy when the New York area is not even in the situation. We can just, everybody here, can, or even New England for that matter. Like, it's nice that the Patriots aren't in it, right?
Yeah, I gotta say that. All right, we'll say go team.
Yes.
Go team.
Okay. Go team.
Go team. Everybody, enjoy your Super Bowl weekend. Have fun, and we'll see you next Friday.
Bye-bye, all.
Bye, everybody.